Hello, and welcome to my first attempt at doing a Warhammer 40,000 narrative campaign. The idea behind this is that me and my buddy Sam have written a bit of backstory about our two armies, in this case my Salamander Space Marines and his Orcs, and based on that background that we've written out, we're then going to we've designed a mission, so the battle will reflect the backstory, and then we're going to play out that mission, and then depending on what the outcome is, we're going to sort of write the next part of the story and have it sort of move along like that. So the missions will be reflecting the story, and the story reflecting the outcome of the missions, and it should be really fun. Looking to do probably about 4 or 5 games, and eventually determine who's won. Have the Space Marines managed to vanquish the Orcs and purge them from this planet, or has the War managed to overrun the human forces? So now some of you, particularly when you see the format I'm doing, may see this as being a bit reminiscent of what miniwargaming.com do with their narrative campaigns. And yeah, it is inspired by those. I'm not trying to sort of copy them or be them, but I've certainly taken a lot of inspiration from them, and I would certainly say if you like this, then check out what they've done. If you like what they've done, you might find this interesting as well, but just bear in mind, this is my first attempt at it, but hopefully it's going to be good fun to make and good fun to watch. Now, the campaign that we've done here is going to be called The Reclamation of Phlorvex, and here's a bit of backstory that I've written for it. The planet of Phlorvex, a Departamento Munitorium ammo world in the galactic southeast, was once a key source of supply to Imperial forces for light years around. That was before the coming of Hive Fleet Kraken. The Tyranid invasion overwhelmed the planetary defence force in a matter of weeks, and it looked as though the planet would be consumed by the Great Devourer. But the galaxy had a different fate in store for this world. As the Tyranids were beginning to digest Phlorvex's biomass, a massive warp rift opened up just outside the planet's gravity well. A huge Orc war descended on the already war-ravaged world, and the Orcs, having caught the Tyranids at their most vulnerable, wiped them out and claimed the planet as their own. Having beaten the Tyranids and looted the most obvious of Phlorvex's military resources, the leader of the war boss Zagskar Nutcrusher, left as rapidly as he had arrived, leading the Orcs onwards to fresh battles. But one warband stayed behind. Big Mech Kogzag da Fixit had the cunning to see how much tech there was for the taking on Phlorvex, and the looter's instinct to take it for himself. Kogzag had risen to lead his warband as much through treachery as brutality. Having proven his skills as a mech, all the nobs and warbosses wanted weapons made by him. Unfortunately for them, these weapons had a habit of explosively failing if the Orc wielding them got in the way of Kogzag's plans. This was mostly due to remotely detonated tankbuster bombs built into the weapon's workings. These accidents continued until none of the warband could oppose him. What he found on Phlorvex was a way to further his plans and start a war of his own. Ammunition and tank factories were plentiful enough on Phlorvex, and the Orcs set about looting them with their usual enthusiasm. De Fixit customised many Imperial vehicles to make them more Orky, but it was in the Mechanicum research facility that he found something that really caught his attention. On Phlorvex, the Mechanicum's tech priests had been working on a safer, more reliable way to travel through the warp, and when the mech found their research, he saw it as a way to get his boys to the best fights and the best looting, by being the only war in the galaxy that could actually control where it went. While the rest of the Orcs were looting the planet, Kogzag and his best mechs set about using the Imperial technology to build their own warp-driving control motor thingy. While hacking into the Mechanicum's cogitator systems, the Orcs triggered an internal security litany that sent a distress call out to nearby Imperial forces. The first to respond to this automated call were the Salamander's third company under Captain Adrax Agatone, returning from purging a gene-stealer cult in the Seculon system, with the support of elements of the 7th and 1st companies of the Salamanders. When the strike cruiser Drakehammer entered low orbit over Phlorvex, they saw evidence of the War, but no Orc ships in the area. However, the Salamanders' attempts to scan the world in detail from orbit were thwarted. Clouds of pollution from Orc-controlled factories obscured the surface from long-range Auspex scans, and warp disturbances that, unknown to the Salamanders, were coming from Cogsag's experiments, prevented any kind of psychic scan of the planet. Unwilling to risk the bulk of his force in a blind combat drop into an unscanned war zone, Agatone dispatched several small recon parties to the surface in an attempt to find out what had happened and secure some sort of geographical reference. So the first mission that we've come up with is called First Contact, and basically one of the Salamander's recon teams, led by a veteran assault sergeant Subak, have been searching a ruined city on Phlorvex, and in the distance they spot an old administratum building that's probably going to contain some sort of maps and charts, maybe a record of what's happened, and some scanning equipment. And they can use that to find out what's going on and work out where the Orc forces are and what's going on with this once mighty Imperial world. But as they approach the building, they see a cloud of dust on the horizon, and an Orc looting party is approaching. The Orcs want to take the building as well. They want to loot it for the weapons tech that's in there, and even use the building itself as scrap to build more vehicles. So the rules we're going to be using for this are the old combat patrol rules from 4th or 5th edition of the game, and so they were for battles played at 400 points. Now we've doubled that up to 800 points, but keeping the same sort of restrictions in place. So there's going to be no models with 2+ armour saves, no vehicles with a combined armour value of over 33, no psychers, no flyers, no models with more than 2 wounds. And we're going to essentially use unbound lists for this, but they're going to be very casual sort of unbound lists. They're not going to be sort of spammy, just throw the force organisation chart and take whatever you want out the window lists. They're going to be sort of build a force that reflects, you know, this Orc looting party and a Space Marine reconnaissance force. So neither of us are going to be using a proper HQ choice. It's the main sort of difference here. It's going to be more centred around troops, fast attack choices, maybe with a few other light units in there, but nothing sort of big or fancy. And yeah, no sort of true leaders. You know, neither Captain Agatone or Cogsag to fix it are going to be taking part in this first battle, but don't worry, you will see them later on. So the primary objective is going to be some sort of ruined building in the middle of the board, and the aim is going to be to control that, and whoever controls that, in the same way you would control any other objective at the end of the game, wins the game. If no one controls it and one side isn't completely wiped out, then we're going to be using the secondary objectives of First Blood and Slay the Warlord to determine the winner. And we're going to use the sort of corner-to-corner deployment style. Can't remember what that's called off the top of my head, but it's that one. And roll for first turn set up normally. But that's basically going to be the mission. It's going to be the next video up on this channel. We're going to do that as a battle report, and then based on how that goes, I'll be writing another one of these little stories. I hope you like this, and I hope you like the upcoming battle report. And yeah, that's all. So go and watch that now. Thanks. Bye.